And I just want to say, you were talking about kids when they're overactive. We see it as naughty when it could be sensory strategies. I
Right,
want to say that Riley, instead of being overactive, she tends to close herself off.
right.
And we have to recognize that that is also a time where they could use more sensory strategies because they don't know. And she closes herself off so that she doesn't feel.
Right.
And that's a key thing I want to mention. Just it doesn't always work. You have to know your child.
You do have to know your child, and every child responds to situations completely differently. And I know we talked about this last time. How they respond in one situation may be totally different in another situation. And I think that if we know our children and how they're responding, that will help us determine what strategies are best for your child in everyday situations, out in the community or at home. And I think
Right.
that's very important to remember. So yes, there's understimulated and overstimulated, and kids can be either.
I just want to say, anyone, if you have questions, type them in the comments section so that we can address your questions. Tonight is the last night with Gina talking sensory strategies. So we want to make sure all of your questions get answered. So please let us know if you do have questions. Angela White says, I wrap up in a blanket and close in. Angela is the parent of an autistic child and also deals with a lot of sensory and similar traits as children, as adults with autism.
Right. Yes, definitely. I mean that you're feeling that proprioceptive when you're wrapping up in a blanket. It is that pressure against your muscles in your body, that's calming you down.
And especially when you have a soft blanket or the texture you like, it gives even more
Right,
input.
right, definitely.
Angela says that her son jumps. That's his
Mhm.
thing.
Yes, that vestibular system. Yeah, that's huge.
And I know we have one mom whose son, the minute he gets home, he's socks off on the trampoline.
Yep.
He never really understood it until we discussed sensory systems that he was seeking something.
Right.
She always thought he just was running home and wanted to play. Now
Right.
she looks at it differently.
That's his calming strategy. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's how he self-regulates. And kids over time learn um, what's best for their personal sensory system. And you're seeing that if they run to the trampoline every single time they come home, they have learned that after a day at school, that's what they need to do to self-regulate.
Exactly. And I'm so excited that our talks about sensory system and last month our talks with an OT about similar but more hands-on
Mm-hmm.
sensory strategies. I really think I'm really excited because parents are seeing what their children are doing are not these behaviors or not just them going out and being silly. It's
Right.
actually strategies that they have built for themselves.
Right. It's purposeful,
Yes.
really purposeful and intentional.
And that's a huge difference that we have to make as parents. Is this a behavior or is this a purposeful need?
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Now, I want to talk about something that you created. You
Yeah.
created this sweet little soft puppy that
Yeah.
comes with an amazing book. Do you want to talk to us about that?
Yeah, I do. So I created this set. It's called Soothing Sammy, and you just put it up. And it is teaching kids how to use a variety of different objects to address their needs at different parts of the day. So if they're overstimulated or understimulated, Soothing Sammy is a way to communicate to them in a simple visual way that they can understand how to use some of those sensory strategies to calm down. And that's exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about squeezing balls and taking drinks and water, jumping and listening to songs or looking at pictures and using a lot of those visual and auditory and vestibular and proprioceptive ways to calm down. And the best way to do that is to have a spot in your house where kids can go to in order to access materials that help them calm down. And so that's what Soothing Sammy does. And so Soothing Sammy, I don't know if you want me to talk about what is in the book or how
it's up to you if you want to read us a small section.
Right. So what happens is the kids, when they feel upset or overwhelmed, they go visit Sammy, who's a golden retriever, in his little doghouse. And all of these pictures are very, very simple, and the words are very, very short in order to keep it less overwhelming and less overstimulating for children. So what the program is teaching kids that in Sammy's house, they have all of these things that help them calm down, like a drink, a snack to crunch, a ball to squeeze. And when kids see the kids in the book doing these things, it's a visual cue for them to know that they can also do those things. And so when kids don't have a lot of that receptive language skills yet, like they might not understand you when you say, hey, why don't you go squeeze a ball, or get a drink of water, or they're in this mind frame where they're not really hearing what you're saying. Having some of these visual tools will help. And so that's what the purpose of Sammy is to communicate to kids that these are things we can use to calm down in a variety of situations. And so what you do with Sammy, and in the back of the book, there's instructions on how to build a Sammy house for Sammy. And that's what you use the plush dog for. And you build a house with just an empty box or a container. And I have 3 different versions here. And you fill it with the items that are discussed in the book, like a ball to squeeze, and a song to hear, and a picture to see, and that's what Sammy lives in. So this is the box that Sammy comes in. Some of the families just use this box to build Sammy's house. And I have some things in here, like a place to jump. This is just like a placemat I got at the dollar store, but it's not slippery. You can put it on the floor, and the kids can jump, or they can go visit Sammy's house and grab a picture out, or one of those squishy balls that you have in here. I have another one, a crate, just an empty crate that could be for Sammy's house. And you could put your child's favorite cup in so they know that they can get a drink of water. Another ball. There's the washcloth they can use to wipe their face or get it cold and put it on their face to calm down. There's a CD in here if they want to listen to a song. And then there's baskets. Some people do it also with baskets and put the dog in. But something to be mindful of is that even though there's about 10 or 12 different calm down strategies in the book, sometimes having too many options in a box could also be overwhelming for kids.
Right.
So Sammy comes with, I don't know if can you see this behind me? There's a print.
Do you want to pull it off and maybe show us a little better? If
you can see that. Let's see here. There's a printout of all the different things that real kids are doing. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Drinking, squeezing a ball up here, looking at pictures, smelling a flower, using a washcloth, jumping. That if kids want to request something, they can point to one of these pictures. Or if you're using the PEC system or something else, you can use that instead, but create an if-then chart with those PEC systems. Or, like what I did is I even cut them out and laminate them and put them on a key ring and put them in Sammy's house for a child to request what they're actually interested in using to calm down. So you can limit that to 2 or 3 options and just put them in, and they can pick out the pictures and hand them to you to show you what they need